I always believed hatred was loud, shouting, breaking things, cruel words thrown like knives. But I was wrong. Hatred can also be silent. It can sit across the dinner table, calmly stirring soup that was never meant for you. It can sleep beside you every night, leaving a space so cold that even your breath feels unwelcome. My wife, Eliza, hated me like that. We had been married for 2 years, yet not once had she called me by my name with warmth. To her, I was just a responsibility, a mistake forced upon her by circumstances I still didn't fully understand. That night, the hospital smelled of antiseptic and quiet despair. The doctor's lips were moving, but my mind refused to hear the words until they crashed into me like a final verdict. Late-stage heart failure, he said gently. 6 months. If you're careful, 6 months. I nodded like he had told me the weather. Outside, rain fell softly, as if the sky already knew I was running out of time. I stood there for a long while, watching people walk past me, strangers who still had futures. When I reached home, the lights were on. Eliza was in the living room, scrolling through her phone. She didn't look up when I entered. "You're late," she said flatly. I opened my mouth to tell her, to confess that I was dying, to ask, no, to beg, for something I had never received from her, concern. But the words stuck in my throat. "I went to the hospital," I said instead. That made her pause. She looked at me then, her eyes sharp with suspicion, not worry. "Why?" she asked. "I'm sick." Silence stretched between us. For a brief second. Just one. I thought I saw fear flicker in her eyes. But it vanished as quickly as it came. "Don't joke about things like that," she said coldly. "You know I hate lies." A bitter smile touched my lips. If only she knew the truth was worse. "I'm not lying," I whispered. She stood up, irritation written all over her face. "I married you because you were healthy, stable, dependable. Don't suddenly pretend to be weak." Those words hurt more than the diagnosis. That night, I lay awake, listening to her breathing beside me. Steady, alive, full of tomorrows. I wondered if she would cry when I was gone, or if my absence would finally bring her peace. 6 months. I turned to face the ceiling, my chest aching, not from the illness, but from the realization that I might die without ever being loved. And that hurt the most.
Eliza had rules. No unnecessary conversations. No questions about her past. No expectations of love. I learned them all within the first month of our marriage. The next morning after my diagnosis, I woke up early, not because I wanted to, but because my chest burned like it was being slowly crushed. I sat on the edge of the bed, breathing carefully, quietly, so she wouldn't notice. But she did. "Elijah," she said suddenly. It startled me. She rarely said my name. "You're pale," she added, her voice neutral, almost annoyed. "Did you not sleep?" "I'm fine," I lied. She stared at me for a few seconds longer than usual, as if trying to find cracks in my face. Then she turned away. That should have been the end of it. But later that evening, everything changed. I came home to find Eliza standing in the kitchen, holding a folder. My folder. The hospital logo was stamped clearly on the front. "Explain," she said, her voice sharp, eyes cold. I froze. "You went through my things?" I asked quietly. "I asked you first," she snapped. "What is this?" There was no escaping it anymore. "I'm dying," I said. "The doctor says I have 6 months." The words felt unreal even as I spoke them. For the first time since I'd known her, Eliza's face drained of color. "That's not funny," she whispered. I wish it was. She dropped the folder. Paper scattered across the floor like fallen leaves. Test results. Reports. Proof of a truth I had tried to hide. "No," she said, shaking her head. "This can't be happening." Then suddenly her shock turned into anger. "You lied to me," she accused. "You said you were healthy." "I was," I said softly. "I didn't know back then." She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "You know why I married you?" she asked. I stayed silent. "Because you were safe," she continued. "Because you were healthy, stable, and boring. Because I needed security." Her words cut deep, but I didn't stop her. "I didn't love you," she admitted. "I needed someone reliable after everything I lost." Lost. That word lingered in the air. "Forced marriages, broken trust, debts," she said coldly. "You were convenient." I nodded slowly. "I figured." She stared at me, confused. "Then why did you marry me?" "Because I loved you," I answered. The room went quiet. Something shifted in her eyes. Not pity, not anger, but something dangerously close to guilt. That night she cooked dinner. For the first time. She placed the plate in front of me without a word. The food was slightly burnt, unevenly seasoned, but it was warm. "Eat," she said quietly. "You're sick." That single sentence shook me more than her earlier cruelty. She still didn't love me, but for the first time, she was afraid of losing me. Eliza started changing in small, almost invisible ways. She began waking up earlier, not for work, but to make breakfast. The meals were simple: toast, eggs, soup, nothing fancy. Yet every time she placed a plate in front of me, her hands trembled slightly. "Eat slowly," she would say, avoiding my eyes. "The doctor said stress is bad for your heart." She remembered. That alone felt unreal. I should have felt happy. But instead, fear settled deep inside me. Because kindness that comes late hurts more. One evening, as rain tapped softly against the windows, Eliza sat across from me and spoke words I never thought I'd hear. "Does it hurt?" she asked. I looked up from my tea. "What?" "Living like this," she said quietly. "Knowing your time is limited." I didn't answer right away. "Not as much as living unloved," I finally said. Her fingers tightened around the cup. That night she knocked on my door. We had been sleeping in separate rooms for months. She said it was more comfortable. I never argued. "I couldn't sleep," she said softly. I moved aside, and she sat on the edge of the bed. "I keep thinking," she whispered. "If you die, what happens to me?" I almost smiled. "Life goes on," I said. "It always does." Her eyes filled with tears. "That's the problem," she said. "I don't want it to." The confession stunned me. She took a deep breath, then finally spoke the truth she had buried for years. "I loved someone before you," she said. "Deeply. I sacrificed everything for him." I stayed silent. "He left me when I was broke, sick, and desperate," she continued. "And when you came along, kind, steady, patient, I used you to feel safe again." "Used?" The word echoed painfully. "I didn't expect you to be the one dying," she said, tears falling freely now. "It was supposed to be me who suffered." I reached for her hand. She flinched, then didn't pull away. "I don't hate you," she said. "I hate myself." For the first time, her tears fell, not from anger. My health declined faster than anyone expected. Some mornings I couldn't even stand without Eliza rushing to my side. Her arms, once distant, became my support. She learned how to listen to my breathing, how to recognize the pain before I spoke. "You're pushing yourself again," she scolded softly one afternoon. Helping me sit, I smiled weakly. "I don't want to waste time." Those words haunted her. She took leave from work, canceled plans. The woman who once avoided being in the same room as me now refused to let me out of her sight. One night, as the city lights flickered beyond our window, she broke down completely. "I love you," she whispered. The words I had waited years to hear. Yet my heart sank. "Don't say that because I'm dying," I said gently. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I fell in love with you when it was already too late. When I finally saw you, time betrayed us." I held her face in my trembling hands. "Then don't regret it," I said. "Just stay." The doctor later confirmed what I already felt. Weeks, not months. Eliza didn't leave my side after that. She read to me, cooked my favorite meals, laughed with me, cried with me, loved me the way she should have from the beginning. One quiet dawn, as sunlight spilled gently across the room, she rested her head on my chest. "I wish I had more time," she whispered. "So do I replied. My breathing grew shallow. The pain faded into warmth. "Live," I told her. "Not in regret. In memory." Her tears soaked my shirt as she begged me to stay. But love, like life, doesn't always come on time. My final sight was her face, broken, loving, real. And for the first time, I died being loved.